Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirk Cast. With me, Jimbo and Calva, as always. We'll be discussing latest MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last week or so. One important note, as we always like to say before we kick off this episode, none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calva, my man, how are we?
We're doing well. I think there was a big announcement or kind of a Yex bomb right this week.
Yep.
About individual instructions. We've been talking about a couple episodes, so we were like resolutions, like what should we for MFL, and I think this is one of the things we mentioned. And Yex was like, okay, let's do it. Let's already. Let people test it, just whatever. So we have a lot to talk about because it's a major overhaul, I think, or change for the game.
Yeah. 100%.
A lot to unpack. So later on this episode, we'll go over each instruction, how it will change the game. So it'll be great convo. Yeah. And of course, our updates, stream talk. We didn't have a stream this week.
No, we didn't have a stream this week.
Or this week, next week.
We might have one this week. Depends if times suit out. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do one for Tuesday for the cup final just because of how they're scheduled in. Like earlier on in the day, still working. Can't I can't get back in time. Maybe we'll be able to watch the Titans Cup, but hopefully on Wednesday I might be able to. Fingers crossed. But I do want to say, though, a big thank you to all of you who have been listening recently. I think 48 hours, just over 48 hours when we released last week's episode, we had like 100 listens and we gained a couple of followers, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal numbers. So keep doing what you're doing, folks. You're doing amazing with all the listens. We're glad to bring you all this content, and it's great to see that so many of you are enjoying listening and watching on YouTube as well. For all of you who will be watching us, we'll wave to you now for all of you watching us. But yeah, if you've not followed or subscribed or anything like that, make sure you go do so. It really helps us out. And most importantly, it ensures you never miss an episode, which we wouldn't want that to happen now, would we? We don't need to miss an episode.
Yes. And also maybe we should again say that we're very democratic and we love feedback. So if you have a great idea, pitch it to us for an episode, or maybe you want to join and take part in the discussions we have here. So feel free to invite yourself or to and come up with like, I have a topic and I want to be a guest and I want to debate this with you guys. Feel free. We love some inputs. Don't be shy. Not everyone likes to be on air or likes to be recorded, but if you are such a person and you love to talk MFL with us, do not hesitate to send a message or DM us or tag us on Twitter or whatever. With all those things being said, let's start with the moment of the week. We're approaching the end of season 2. My season is getting more and more dramatic by the minute, but I first want to hear about your season or moment this week.
Right, I'm going to try and wrap up a little bit of my season. Or my moment of the week is more the fact that I cursed myself on the pod last week. And what I said last week was, my moment of the week was that I brought in a left mid, 59 or 60 rated. He scored the winning goal in a game where I shouldn't have won it in bronze, right? A 60 rated player smashed someone 1-0. Well, didn't smash, I fluked it. And I said I wasn't really bothered about the replacement because I think I'm kind of okay and safe in bronze. Turns out that since that match, I have not won. I've won one of my 4 league games. Or one of my 5 or 4 league. I basically won 1 league game this week, and I'm currently sitting 6th. I'm 8 points behind 5th, so basically I'm not going to get 5th unless something dramatically happens. But 6th, me 22, 7 21, 8 21, 9 21, and I've lost my last 2 games. I've lost the 7th and 8th, so I've really stunk out the gaff. Fortunately, I played 10th. In one of my last 3 games, and 10th is a horrendous side. I should be able to bag 3 points. They've got 6 points all season, so there's a chance I actually can get relegated here. But on the other hand, both my teams are now in cup finals, so the cup's gone really well. So I've sort of made up for the lost MFL from the reward system of bronze and coming up there. But my thought there have been thoughts in my head this week. So moment of the week is getting 2 cup finals. But the thoughts in my head have been, I will try to stay up in bronze, but if I hit 9th spot, I think I may tank the playoffs. And
Let's see.
you know, I might do. I'm just trying to think about how my team will look next season, and I don't know if it will. Basically, I don't think it's going to be stronger than this season. So if it's not going to be stronger than this season, why not just have another go at getting up through the promotions next season?
Okay, so
Iron.
you would be okay with that.
But I did see there was a bit of a debate in the main Discord about reward structures a couple of days ago, and I think Lucas said that's something that Matt has been looking at recently. No word on that, but you know,
no, it's. But this is also the thing. I mean, for the 4 people, like ourselves with teams in relegation battles, it's kind of a cushion. You're like, oh, actually becoming a champion in 1 division lower and then also getting more MFL in the process. It's not a bad prospect, right? So it kind of softens the landing. But yeah, that's also a bit goes against the game. Like IRL, no team wants this.
It doesn't feel right to do that.
No team is like, okay, we can go down and then in the championship, I don't know, make more money or get more rewards, and then
that doesn't happen.
And that's all right with us. So yeah, it's like less harsh for people relegating, but it feels a bit weird.
Lucas used an example in the chat before I let you say your moment of the week. Lucas used an example of, if you win Iron, then come 8th in Bronze, you get 27,000 MFL. But if you're 3rd in Iron twice and you lose a playoff, you get 24,000. So you in fact get 3,000 less. But I think what some people are actually saying is, well, if I actually come 3rd in Iron and then get promoted and then get relegated, I would earn less than coming 3rd twice in a row, I think. I've not actually done the maths on that. I probably should have done the maths on that before I came into this chat with that. Could be completely wrong. But yeah, I think that's the piece. If you're on the fringe of playoffs and getting promoted, is it worth it? If you knew maybe you didn't deserve to be there because you might get smashed. But
well, that's a good transition to my story, because my my bronze team that promoted last year was champion. And it was also a bit like a very, very weird bronze league, super close. And somehow I got promoted to silver, but now I'm getting absolutely destroyed and already relegated. In 11th, I think there's one team worse, so I'm 11th spot. And I can't even become 10th anymore. Yeah, so they are being straight relegated back to bronze. But also really a lot of other teams, it's I don't know what's going wrong or what I did wrong, or am I underestimating the competition. But Magos is now already pretty much relegated. Casablanca has relegation fears. Black Sea is pretty safe. So
Profound Soda's punching the air right now.
Exactly. But also Black Sea can still go 9th, pretty much. That's also a bit of a weird silver league. Cavalieros relegated. Then I have Calva Juniors and CD Ganaderos and Iron, both about to be relegated. So
yeah.
And then only Corsair Cove, which was in your league last season, they are first. So they're in a very hot league title race.
Very nice.
And my Polish team, the Hussars, they are about to become champion in Stone. So there's 2 success stories, but the rest is all terrible. It's like either everything or nothing this season for me.
Yeah.
But I'm really like, did I just panicked and I kept changing tactics too much because it didn't look like it worked? It's bad luck. I also feel like Iron became super hard suddenly with like all those stacked Stone teams coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have to do some soul searching and test a lot for next season, because this is a bit like, some shame, I feel like.
Yeah.
As people regard me as like, oh yeah, he knows a lot and he knows how to manage a team, and there's like, I don't know, half of my teams are about to get relegated. So but that is
do we take advice from him anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Be a bit careful about it. But yeah, definitely I need to make some plans. I'm happy there might be 2 championships, but all the relegations are not so good. But then again, with you, the same thing. if Cavieros takes that step back, they can do much better. And even if Casablanca Corsairs relegate, they could maybe become champion in silver or second and get a lot of MFL there. So that is that nice cushion you have, that in the end it's not the end of the world and it's all right. So.
Yeah, I've quickly just done the maths on this, by the way.
Okay,
so I can so if you come third in Iron, and then you come eighth, so you survive, you get 21,500 MFL. If you come third in Iron back to back, you get 24,000. So you get more for just coming third than you do coming third, getting off through the playoffs, and then surviving. Obviously, if you then hang on, I'm gonna say, if you come second in Iron and then get promoted, you have to come eighth to get more MFL. If you then come 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, you immediately get less.
Yeah, it's pretty
tough.
So
I think that kind of backs the theory that if you're on the fringe and you're third and you feel like you shouldn't deserve third, but you can try and get that, or you can bulk up and maybe go for first next season in Iron, or become second to third, maybe fourth consistently, maybe it could be a better decision from an MFL point of view, which depends on what your expectations are and your strategy and your objectives are for how you play the game, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And then you have like this progression argument, like, okay, maybe they face better competition that's a bit better for progression, but on the other hand, your ratings will be low, so maybe you lose some XP there. So it's like, what's better?
The one thing I did just think about as well is obviously the value of clubs too. If you go to bronze, your club is considered more valuable. So if you wanted to sell it, could you then?
But then you would have
MFL
to
difference. But then
sell it straight. Yeah.
I guess maybe that is the strat then.
Could be
third place playoff, sell, rinse and repeat. But I guess it only works if you've got multiple clubs, because I would not be doing that with one of my beloved Wyverns. Or maybe if I got my Spartails up, I'm not so much.
Yeah, no, I thought about it too as like a way of earning some of my like money, but now the club prices, especially lower, there's not huge differences, right? So it's not like you buy an ice club, you get them promoted, it's stone, you sell it as stone. It's almost, it depends more on location than division in that area. So
yeah.
All right, to be continued. Let's see in the end if we get relegated with some teams, and then how we feel about it. And then next year, will we get more MFL by doing very well in the league lower? Let's see. Little experiment. Time to talk about dev updates. So, of course, the individual player instructions was the big announcement this week. Later, way more about that. But the main new element is positional freedom and passing risk. So those two are definitely new. So later on, we'll focus a bit more on those, I guess. Then engine. So still a lot of work on both the current and the new experimental one, the upcoming version. So some fixes for the current version have been made successfully. And thanks to the feedback of everyone testing the experimental engine, Quentin also fixed some bugs there, such as reducing goalkeeper errors when advancing and catching the ball. A lot of complaints. Did you hear like some complaints about goalies making mistakes? Or did you read some of those?
I saw quite a few times this week a goalkeeper would catch the ball and then go out to the edge of their box and just either throw it or kick it straight to a striker for an open goal. And that's happened. That happened a couple times this week. And even with the volume of games that we experience, right? You think, maybe scenarios happen more frequently because of that. But I think that probably happened more frequently than it has done in real life.
It reminds me a bit of the chip, the shot from the middle of the field, right? So we saw those goals, like chipping the goalie from way out, and then it was like, but the volume is so much, and now we have the same discussion. Goalies make mistake, even if you have McGill, like 92 rated goalie, against a 60 striker. Of course, he can still make a mistake. Like Casillas also made a big mistake when the Netherlands beat Spain 5-1. What a day that was. Then Casillas also made a great blunder. Like he was one of the best goalies in the world. So it can happen, but the frequency is everything, right? What is the frequency?
The Norwich lost to Sheffield United 2-0 yesterday, and in that game there was a Sheffield United strike from the halfway line, which the goalkeeper had to tip over. And then the Sheffield United keeper, I think that's what happened. I've not seen the highlights because I was driving, but I listened to it on the radio. The Sheffield United goalkeeper had it, went to go throw it, sort of forgot to throw it, and it went out for a corner because he sort of accidentally let go of it once it had actually gone past him. And it's like that, nearly had a halfway line goal and a goalkeeper throwing out for a corner. If that happens in an MFL game, there is absolute outrage. But it does happen. But maybe it's the frequency that people are complaining about.
No, exactly. Like, it should be in the game. There should be blunders. Also in Football Manager, there's also blunders in the engine in the game. There should be blunders, but it's all about frequency. Yeah. And of course, there's like a big bias. If it happens in your game, you think, oh, it happens. It's too much. But all right, they fix it. They're working on it. They are aware of it. So if you want to know more about the engine, indeed, do read the patch notes. Then one little sentence that I think is great news is that the team started exploring the addition of offers to the MFL marketplace, which would be amazing and prevent a lot of floaty issues. Player suspension, so the development continues on that. And then friendlies and quest matches. So now you can start friendly match between two clubs you own, even in their same competition. Much requested. And the cooldown for quest matches has been reduced to 5 minutes, which is the normal kind of cooldown period. So for new users with no clubs, that's great. Yeah. And for testing that new engine, that's great. Any other thoughts? I think the
just
offers
want
is
to put a
nice,
quick
right?
thought on the marketplace offers piece, because I think that's really promising and really good to hear that there's going to be offers within the marketplace or exploring the addition of having offers. But I would like to point out, I know in a few other Discords I've seen this, that it's imperative that we're either allowed an account level or a player level to deny offers to certain players, even on an account level or on a player level, because it could just come stupid. You get inbox notifications anyway from contracts. If suddenly you're getting 50 notifications for 20 cents asking you for legendary player, it's going to be a bit silly. Yeah. So I think there needs to be, you say, I don't want to have any offers for any of my players. You can just carpet, no offers to any of my players, please, on an account level. Or it'd be like how contracts and their availability for players, you can do it for individual players and say, right, I've got 10 players who I'm never going to sell for 3 seasons. I don't want anyone offering anything for them. I want to not allow that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise notifications could become a bit silly, I think. And you get people who will just offer stupid stuff, right? So I think it's great that we're getting it done. Just needs to have that sort of consideration into it.
True. No, I agree. That should be in place. And I think now with contracts, it also works with the contract tab, and you can filter by ref share or division. So maybe you have offers and you filter highest to lowest, you check out your highest bids and all the 1 cent ones you ignore. But yeah, needs already with contract offers, it gets really crazy sometimes in inbox. So some filters or some like a spam folder, maybe you can send them all straight to spam or something. Yeah. That would be.
I know the So Rare users would probably like something like that, right? Because they're the ones who have experience of people, you have a super rare or a rare player or a player who's really hot in form and everyone wants them so rare and everyone just keeps like giving you 50% of his full value for offer, and it's like, I'm never going to accept that. Why do you keep doing it? Yeah. Give me a block button for that. Bam, that sort of thing.
Maybe they're counting on someone being sleepy and clicking it, or I don't know.
Won't name names.
It is bad. Okay, Diamond League update. We're nearing the end of Season 2. 3 more matches to play. And the title race couldn't be any more exciting, I think. Because what's the situation? Bistro Milano is still number 1 with 46 points. But Club Atletico Tango have been closing that gap. And they're now 4 points away with 42 points. But today, when we're recording this on Sunday, so there's a huge match. You already know the results when this airs, but Bistione plays Club Atletico Tango today. So number 1 against number 2. If Tango wins, the gap is only 1 point with 2 more matches to play. So this will could become very tight. Or if Bistione wins, they are champion tonight. So
yeah, if they win, they're champions. I would love to see Tango win to let it go to that final one, because have you seen who they play on their final match day as well?
No, I didn't check the final match.
So on match day
22.
not this final. There's 2 more games after, isn't there? Sorry.
Yeah.
But afterwards, in the upcoming, so obviously Milano versus Tango tonight. Match day 21, Milano play Meta Mercenaries, who are not having their best season by no means. But at the end of the day, it's still the reigning champions and Meta Mercenaries, and you can never have an easy game against them, right? Big Wolbert's Tango then play third place OM Legends, which he will be keen to ensure that he holds third spot. Technically could even hit into second spot, right? With that. And then on the final match day, it's Tango versus Yoga Bonito. And then it's Biscione Milano versus Variance MFC. So you'd like to think that if it needs to come down to the final day of the season, Milano should be able to beat Variance. But, you know.
Yeah, they definitely have the best papers. And it's... if you would have to go to the bookies, I think you get... not so much if you put money on Biscione, but yeah, it can really go either way. And I think Scrub is getting a bit anxious because of the lead used to be much bigger. It's already closed down to 4 points, and then if it becomes 1 point, it's really maybe panic mode, or it will be tough. But what's also amazing is that Scrub with Biscione Milano is again in the Titans Cup final, and again against OM Legends.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Final. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with those teams, but they have like a subscription. We say in the Netherlands, like to the final subscription. They both have that. So yeah, again, could be a double for Scrub. Could be an amazing season. And it's especially interesting with that his club was like sold to another guy for one day. And then he got it back quickly, and then he has this amazing season where he could win the double. And great job from Joe B again, and that he's also in the final and third in the league with 3 points clear of Jogo Bonito. And then we should probably talk about Magos being 12. Henkies are firmly out.
Do you want us to?
No, but it's really frustrating. I had those pretty tough matches against Tango, Scrub, OM Legends, and they lost like 5-1, 3-0, 1-0. Ballers also in there. But really, if you look at the XG and the shots, and it was every time pretty close. But somehow they score and I don't. And they score like 3 goals and I score 0. Or they score 5 goals and I score 1.
Yeah.
So I think my personal analysis, what is just going wrong this season, is not having more like superstars, like 90 plus guys to either finish it, or like last season with Ferreria Ruiz to put like a ball on their head or something. I think especially in Diamond, having a couple of really high 90 rated, you need them to do well. And now when I lost the goalie -6 points. The midfield lost a lot of points. That's my basic analysis. Plus at 3-5-2 apparently, like formation-wise, 4-4-2, 4 in the back seems to work much better than 3 in the back. So I guess those are the 2 things that ultimately killed me. But yeah, it is what it is, and I'm all right with it. It's just very frustrating that last season things went my way much more, and then there was like a couple lucky things, and there was like a couple of more deserved wins. But XG wise, I was overperforming, scoring more than XG in this season. We're underperforming really hard, like scoring like maybe 1 goal out of 6 XG in the last 4 matches or something. So not so good. I'm definitely resigning if I don't get fired, and hopefully someone in Platt can get them back. I would love that.
But one really final question, I guess more of a yes or no one. Yes. Have you had any contact? Has anyone from MFL reached out to you about what's happening for it next season? Say, by the way, like you're being fired?
No. No, I think it's like 3 more matches, so right? It's like well, it would be lovely. Like now, Variance had this also crazy win against the Meta. Ronin was pretty frustrated again, and that's why they jumped over me today. They were bottom before, now I'm bottom. So hopefully we can beat them tonight and at least be 11th. And that would be the end. But then at least the discussion, I think, will be less hot when it's a plat team you can take over. Or maybe, someone can run a plat team and not a diamond team. So then the whole free money thing can be over with the team in plat. Well, to be continued. Let's see. Next week we know who won the cup, and where I ended in my final Mago season. Then market moves, some stories from the marketplace, quite some new users again. For example, Ray Stubbs, Beppo, Buxi, Adribal, Dakas, Compex, Bramsel, Bobil, Lewis, Lexor, Durendorf, Sora, Liga, Pablo Fernandez, Longoria, beautiful name, McBroda, Lens, and James168, and probably some other. I put as new user of the week 2 people, Swabib from Belgium and Levis from Poland. Because why I put those guys? Because those 2 communities, the Dutch speaking and the Polish speaking communities, are growing. Polish also added now a Polish channel. I was trying to flex my Polish in there a little bit. But it's nice that there's like now a little Polish community, Polish speaking community growing. And Swabib from Belgium and some other more Dutch people coming in. So apart from the initial big French one, and then Italian, Spanish, now there's also German is also big. I know they have a WhatsApp group, so it's lovely to see again a bit more broadening there of communities, expanding. Other stories, I saw Aquinta bought a lot of young commons. I still don't know if this is a great strategy or not, but like $19 for 90-year-old, 57, 58 rated players. Would you pay that, Jimbo? Or
$90?
19, sorry, not 90.
$90.
No, $19 for like 58 overall 19-year-old, for example.
I think you're probably better off. You're probably happy if you're the seller in that situation.
Yeah. Especially because now we're approaching the next birthday of all those guys. So then you pay that for a 20-year-old. Not financial advice, but when you buy guys, you have to add at least a year. Plus, will you have that progression? Can you get it out of them that they earn their value back? Because that's what you hope. But okay, we'll see. Aquinta, he believes in this strategy. Rare players, we saw a lot of rares moving from the German Aussie to B-sellers. He took over his whole collection. A lot of rares, a lot of uncommons and free clubs. And what I also thought was interesting is WH1988. A new user. He only played quest matches, not in the league. He's not active yet, but he has a bronze club and an ice club, and he bought 8 rares this week. So he's getting fired up to dominate in bronze. No legendary players sold this week. Interesting enough. And club-wise, little observation. So there's still a premium on locations. For example, the only one, he bought Los Angeles Ice for 125, while Messi bought Loznica from Serbia for 65 USD. But the floor is moving. Like if you now look at the cheapest club, there's like a 69 Ice club, then a 75 Stone, and then I felt it was like 76. So we're approaching pack price as the floor, which is healthy. I think that clubs are getting a bit more value.
Yeah.
Again,
I think even if clubs do drop down to, say, like $60 or even sub 60, they get snapped up pretty quick because people see the value in that. So they may go below that, say, club pack value, but very rarely do they go, say, more than 15% below that value.
I feel like there was a bit of a period where people, maybe because of the Christmas promo, that there was like a lot of dumping of ice clubs. But now it's recovering, so that's great. Time for the splash.
Splash of the week. It's not a Carne and it's not a legendary player. So what are we even doing here, folks? What are we even doing?
What is this?
Is Kanda Vorobev, Russian cam. Overall 84. Bought by Mr. Eric Barbetic for $410. smackaroons, aka US dollars, from Toscana Calcio. Congratulations to both. Run through the stats quickly. 20 years old. Primary cam, left mid secondary. Russian, 84 overall. Here come the stats, folks. Pace 81, shooting 79, passing 96. Very healthy passing stat. Very, very healthy at 96. Dribbling 76, defending 42, if you care about that. And then physical 57. So a bit low on defending, but it's a cam. Bit low on the physical, which can be a turn off for some. But one thing we actually really should start to look at, Calva, which I've not done for this, we will for next week, is look at how the progression has been for some of these players as well. Because have they been ones that have not had progression yet? Have they done a 10 plus overall gain? Have they not? Are these players people are banking on progressing, or is that premium for progression being included within the price? But it's nice to see a very high price for a rare going in, which is nice.
Yeah, and he is in tier jail, definitely. 84.20, so maybe he didn't progress, but yeah, it's super hard to make that jump to legendary. So I think that's a smart investment there. But it's also interesting that the market for legendaries has really calmed down suddenly after Akane. I don't know also if Akane is like taking it easy, taking a bit of a step back. What's his strategy going forward? I think he definitely has enough Legos now for Diamond and Plat, but what about other teams? All of those other teams he has.
Yeah, he's probably got all of his players that he wants, and I guess ultimately it's no when we're still in the season. Rewards are around the corner, which actually we didn't speak about rewards. The snapshot for rewards is on Thursday, and you get rewarded on Thursday, I think, as well, which is interesting. But I did see that Bastiste, with his MFL manager FR account, did ask MFL that even though we're being rewarded on Thursday, are you still not going to let us purchase packs until the rollover because of the age difference? So it'll be interesting to just hear a confirmation on that, because it'd be a bit of a bummer if we get rewarded earlier than we did last year, but you can still buy packs with it because they will age. So I'm hoping that we just get given the MFL earlier, and then after rollover day they let us, which I'm sure will be the case, but it's just nice to have confirmation.
Although, you need just to mint a guy, but if you can already get them, they will just super quickly age. Like if you have an 18-year-old, it will be a 19-year-old for just a week, right? So
I can't see them allowing
it's not
that,
a big
problem
last
season.
But maybe it's about minting. It's about like, do you have enough guys? You don't want to have like a bank run, right? And not anything coming out of the...
I think people ultimately like to see the MFL balance go up before, like a couple of days beforehand, so they can strategize what they want to do with it, rather than they get it 3 hours later, bang, there's a run on the packs. They get replenished anyway, but it's the principle.
Let's see. Some quick IRL MFL. Do you have anything?
I just want to laugh at Man United. Really, they were, I thought, lucky to win against Southampton midweek 3-1 with Amad Diallo getting a hat trick. Everyone's what a guy. I think United should have been like 4-0 down by the time United even had their first goal. And they go lose 3-1 to Brighton today. So it'll be interesting. And obviously Tottenham got smashed as well, 3-0 down at half-time. I think they lost 3-2 in the end. Arsenal drawing from being 2-0 up. Liverpool winning 2-0 in the last minutes. Darwin Núñez picking up a brace. Probably should have been sent off as well, bear in mind. But he got a brace. And then Man City, I think at time recording, are 6-0 up against Ipswich. Fucking get in there. Wow. Serves them right. We all smash the Scummers. I'm a Norwich fan for those who don't know. So any smashing of Ipswich is greatly appreciated by any team. But I probably think they might stay up this season. But no one really found. And Nottingham Forest keep plodding along. Bournemouth made it 5 or 6 wins in a row, beating Newcastle comfortably 4-1 at St James's Park after they'd just gone on a 9-game winning streak. But we are back to European football this midweek as well, which is big.
That's great. Yeah. So, the final Champions League day is coming up. That will be super interesting. With this massive table and everyone playing at the same time and this table moving like life. It'll be exciting. Very interesting. I had 2 little things. One is we talked last week about when breeding. Patrick Kluivert did a lot of that because he has like a lot of great sons playing football. Actually, I think the biggest talent is Shane. He's like 17 in Barca Academy. But Justin
Really?
is now proving to be or like he was a big talent and kind of not anymore. And now he's getting a bit back into great form, scored a hat trick. I think he was really motivated after this penalty hat trick, and everyone said that's not really a hat trick, that's just 3 penalties.
Yeah.
So now he scored a pure proper hat trick.
pure hat trick.
That's great for him and for Dutch football. And then about PSV, kind of my club from Eindhoven, they are not doing so well. They almost got kicked out of the cup against second division, second tier club, like in the Dutch first division, we call it. And now they lost against another bad team. I know a lot of Sorare players have these PSV stacks because they keep winning, but that's not so
I love it
so
when
well
they don't
anymore.
win, because then it means that if any other team does well, then they probably have a good chance of getting rewards, because everyone just stacks PSV because
PSV
they've
stacks.
got across all positions they're really, really strong for sort of like so rare scores. So whenever they concede a goal, it's basically a miracle, because they can win a game, but if they concede a goal, nullifies the clean sheet for the goalkeeper and the centre back. Was it like Buscagli or what's his name?
Buscagli,
Yeah, he just grinds and grinds the AA score and just gets like 80 pluses each week. So if they concede, it knocks off 14 or so straight away. So
yeah, well, so good
everyone
times for some Sorare players that they're having a bit of a bad form, and it also shows, like with IRL MFL, like you can just have a season where it goes first well, and then a period where, like City, like PSV, very dominant teams can have bad spells.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that being said, all of that's time for individual player instructions.
Opa. Did
So
you
first-
see that when
sorry.
Yax dropped this, by the way?
Yeah.
I think he'd put hashtag when breeding, then just put hashtag when individual player instructions. And
Yeah,
then
that
just
was,
dropped
yeah,
it. And I was like, you devil, you absolute man. He knows what he's doing. And then he dropped it. I was like, oh, cool. We can play it, which is sick. So
it's always very like cool. Like, oh, here's this little thing, and you just experiment, test with it. But yeah, of course, it's huge. It's a super big development. What do you would say? Like, how will it change the game? What's like the biggest changes?
Fundamentally, the biggest thing is just to do with the gameplay and the additional flavors, as we like to say, and you like to call it, flavors to the tactical side of the game. How many times have we seen people type, whatever, saying, I would love to, stick my player out wide. I'd love them to dribble more often because they've got a really high dribbling stat, but I don't want the rest of my team to dribble often. Guess what? You can do that now. And it just means you can really, really sort of fine tune your lineup and ultimately play the game from a tactics POV, how you want to set up. You almost, with the current ones, it's either this or that, but now you can do this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
You can do so many things at once, which is really, really great. On the flip side to that, it means you can get it wrong more often. But we don't talk about that, but we don't talk about that.
There's also so many variables, right? Now it's just impossible. Like, there's so many different setups and variables you can do. There were already many, but now it's just getting out of hand. So it's really, there's so many options. So just build your own, build a couple of tactics and test them, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is such a good development for that tactical depth. I think that's one of the things a lot of people say, like, there should be a bit more tactical depth, a bit more like gameplay and getting an edge this way. And I think that will also be great for a bit like marketing user growth for the FM crowd, who's very critical and skeptical, to give them a bit more like, look, you can also give instructions to individual players. Yeah, way more like traditional, like kind of football management style game, becoming like that. So great development for sure, and I'm also really excited to have it, for my own teams, because there's like just some players we instantly think of, like, oh yeah, I would love to let him take more shots or let him dribble more, without letting all the other guys do the same.
Yeah, you can take advantage of the really good stats or maybe singular stat your players have to get the most out of them as players, rather
Yeah.
than having to have a blanket approach for your whole lineup, which is really great.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like imagine now having a team, or I know, like Man United, you're Amorim, and you need to fix this mess. And then,
Indeed, he does.
you tell everyone dribble more, and then see Maguire trying some dribbles, and then you go absolutely mental. So now you can just say, okay, Diallo or I don't know. Well, Rashford is still there, but like, okay, you guys can dribble more.
Yeah,
not Maguire. So that's just why it's so important.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So huge updates. I think we're not totally sure when. Right, not season 3, but season 4 then.
Yeah, I don't think there has been a date. It's
like
there's
I don't think it was re-announced, right?
because it was originally for Quest, right? And now they've included it for friendlies, but friendlies when you only use the experimental engine. So that's why if you look on your tactics screen, that you can see it there as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't really know. I guess it depends on the feedback, and if there is quite a lot of feedback, or say not negative feedback, but feedback that means they have to modify and update the individual instructions, then maybe it gets pushed back further. But it'd be cool to see for season 3. But I wanted it to be right for season 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess it's more season 4 thing.
Yeah,
like don't want to rush it.
What is right? Because I could see there'd be situations where people always ask, like, oh, what's the best formation? What's the best tactic to use? And I feel like now with this, we might be able to see some more of those coming out, where it's if you have really high dribbling players but low passing and really good shooters in shooting stats for strikers, you could see targeted tactics to try and, well, ultimately you want to get the best out of the engine. So do we see sort of some meta individual instructions appear? Do we see that? Which it's always interesting, isn't it? Who can figure that out, or can someone find a particular tactical instruction to better?
I think it's easier to get an edge now. That's for sure. Yeah, it's really like before we had only one formation and no instructions, and now we have many formations, many team instructions, and individual. So now definitely, I guess you get more rewarded with a lot of testing. And okay, let's go over each instruction.
Yeah.
And we have the ones that are in possession and the ones that are out of possession. So let's start with the in possession ones. I guess the more interesting ones, the more like attacking when you have the ball. And yeah, for each one you also always have to use team instructions one. Yeah. So that's also good to know that some just follow the team instructions, some you can give the individual one. So directness, that style of passing and playing, you can also put on an individual level. So you have the balanced in the middle, direct and controlled.
Yeah.
This is a bit harder, I think, to see an individual level, or would you say it's?
I mean, I think it depends on, say, if your centre backs, if you really don't want them playing out. I know there's out of possession, there's the play out from the back and all that sort of stuff, but centre backs, if you don't want them hoofing them long, you can play controlled. Or if you really want to enforce maybe some passing, some high passing stat players to go long or something like that, then you can do that. But I think for these sort of like first 4 in possession ones, because they're the same as the team instructions, I imagine it'll be like very much position based what you choose here rather than stats based. But I guess that was also the same. Like I'm not gonna like directness, long shots. Yeah. I will just put my CDMs. I don't want to take long shots. I'll take less long shots. Because
I think the first one is a bit harder for me. Is like balance controlled or direct. So yeah, for me it's a bit more shorter passing or just like kick it forward. But I would say that's more like an overall instruction. But like the long shots, yeah. So then we have the long shots, the crossing, and the dribbling. But I think those ones I would use a lot.
Yeah, I could see maybe for myself at the moment with with the directness keeping it on use the team instruction one.
Yes, me too. I think
that's what I imagine other people will as well, unless they really want to play Pep, really want to play Sean Dyche, really want to play.
Yeah, I think that's more an overall team philosophy. But yeah, long shots. Yeah, players with high shooting, you would maybe allow them to take a bit more long shots, and just like, for example, defenders, or never just take less long shots. Also the crossing, right? Some people, you just don't want to have a lot of crosses, but maybe one winger, for example, has very high passing, very bad dribbling.
Yeah.
So you let him cross more often, while the other one is a bit more maybe like inside forward or inverted winger, that you just say dribble more often to this guy and cross more often to the more wide. You use it more as a wide. Like, you can add some stuff and make with this.
Yeah, I think
It's
that one
great.
becomes particularly useful for formations such as like 4-2-2 or 4-1-2-1-2 or 4-3-1-2, who don't have left and right mids or don't have wingers. If you've got, 4-2-2 is 2 CDMs, 2 cams, 2 strikers, you might not necessarily have cams who you want to cross. You want to try and keep it quite central play. So having less crosses will hopefully mean they'll be in either positions that they can't cross from, or they just don't cross at all. So I think for some of those formations that don't utilize width, that can be quite useful for.
Yeah. Yeah, like for example, now with my Corsairs, the Corsair Cove, I have this like my left winger is very good dribbling and shooting, while my right winger is atrocious shooting, like 30, but 94 passing. So yeah, there you have this kind of where I will play with that, for example. But that's what you just said, the 4-2-2 also ties into the position freedom, I think. So that's another in possession one. You can so you can tell people to have like high, so like a lot of positional freedom, or low or medium.
Yeah.
So I guess in this 4-2-2, you might say, okay, those number 10s, they can go anywhere and be creative. I reckon that's also how it's used in real life a lot. So maybe, but while those CDMs, you want to have more holding midfielders, they should kind of stay and control everything.
Yeah.
So those you don't give a lot of position freedom, they should stay and kind of protect and close off the spaces. So I think that's really an amazing thing. I will use a lot too, the positional freedom. For you, I guess for you too.
Yeah, the positional freedom I'll definitely use. I've got a couple players that I would like to let them have freedom. When I think of positional freedom, I often think of Adel Tarapt for QPR and how Harry Redknapp just told him, like, just fucking do what you want, but make sure you score and don't, he said, basically, do what you want, just do not come into our own box, basically. And he would just let him have the freedom of the pitch. He played as a number 10 if you looked on a formation and a team sheet, but he'd just go everywhere and just do anything he wanted to, but it would always be for the benefit of the team. So, I have a cam who's got really low shooting stats, but quite high dribbling and high passing. I want him to be going around everywhere, picking the ball up, picking the ball up and passing it. So I want to give him freedom. I don't want him to be locked in there. I want him to be going places and picking the ball up. And he's the, the creative spark within the Wyverns, within the team.
Yeah, so especially number 10, right? That's like a kind of a famous cam. He should have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And like kind of be everywhere on the field.
It could be interesting for five back formations and wing backs if you give them really high positional freedom. Do they really actually get utilised as wing backs in that sense? Or if you wanted to have low positional freedom for 5 at the back, is that the ultimate park the bus? Because you're like, right, 5 of you, stand the line, no movement, no one's getting past you, but you're not going forward. Is that we're going to see more of these really aggressive instructions, but more of these really defensive ones, which is ultimately what MFL and what other managers want to do, because you can actually play how you want to play rather than
and also more asymmetric. What I love, it's like right now it's super symmetric, and like everyone gets the same instructions, and also in the formation you cannot like put some players a bit higher or lower. Which if you play 5-3-2 or 5-2-3 and you have wingbacks, and one is a bit like a Denzel Dumfries, and you just can keep going forward and do give him a lot of freedom and do whatever he wants, and he can score, while the other one should be very low positional freedom, just stay in that place, never dribble, be very controlled or very direct, or like you can play with that a little bit and make it more asymmetric, which is great. So it's amazing, and you can really see how it might play out, and and brainstorm about all those options. Then also the passing risk we didn't talk about, but I think it's very obvious. Would you give in Winsome? Would you give someone a lot of risk?
I'd probably, for me at the moment, I'll probably be just sticking it on like the number 10 for the time being. Maybe one of my CDMs, maybe might have them on like balanced, for example. But I'm happy with my number 10. I want him to play riskier passes. If he plays riskier pass and loses the ball, hopefully and theoretically there should be at least 7-8 men behind him to mop up for his, pass that got intercepted by the opposition. So he's a prime example of a player that I would want to be playing riskier passing. Also, I have quite a nice, one of my strikers, Fabrizio Perez. He's a left mid, but he's a misfit as striker. Because he's a left mid, he has quite nice passing stats. He's got 79 passing for a striker. So I want him to occasionally, utilise that 79 passing for a striker and play that riskier pass to the main man who just all he does is high physical, high pace, high shooting, riskier balls through to him and let him just, Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, pass to Haaland. Maybe not so much this season, but last season. That's a sort of mindset I want for the Wyverns right now.
No, that's for sure. You want attacking players, I guess, to have a bit more risk, and especially number 10. And then you still have some security, some safety when they lose the ball. On the other hand, sometimes you need to have some midfielders, some CDMs who take some risk to break open like the play. Like if you keep passing the ball around without any risk, without any forwards play, like a bit of like a Frenkie de Jong, who can make a dribble and give a more risky pass.
Yeah.
But because he's so good, he kind of has some safety in there that he's not going to lose it or take too much risk. But yeah, you need to have someone who breaks it open.
Plays that ball through the lines. And this can be really useful for defenders because I know when I've got some of my centre-backs and I like them to have a high passing stat. But then if I have, play out from the back or controlled passing, which I guess is sort of a bit like this riskiness, right, of passing risk. If you're putting controlled for your defenders, it's almost like having the passing risk on high because if you muck it up, then there's a high chance you concede from it and they convert, right, because of where you're losing possession in the pitch or the area of the pitch. But maybe now you have some centre-backs, defenders who have low passing, but you have one who's got, 65 plus, 70 plus. You can give that centre-back balanced or risky passing, but he's got the stat to suit that tactic, which I think is probably, the moral of all this is going to be like, use individual instructions that suit your players. Don't try and force something because the engine will go, no, that's not good enough. 44 rated passing, centre back should not be, positionally free and having a high passing risk.
It would be fun though to try this as an experiment to see if it's really.
Could you self-sabotage? Like how bad can you self-destruct?
Can you do it totally the opposite, right? Can you give all defenders super tons of freedom and risk, and the attackers you make them very conservative with their play, and then see the results, and then totally change it around how you would normally do it, and then do you notice big differences? That would be a great little experiment everyone can do to test formations and really feel, because sometimes you have to question, do tactics really matter, right? In this engine, can you really get an edge? But that would be great, especially now. Just give all your defenders a high amount of risk and positional freedom and good luck. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and good luck. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's look at the other ones, the out of position ones. So the press is the first one. So often do you press more often, less often, or balanced? Would you give some pressing freedom?
I think, I guess it depends on maybe how you've got the team instructions set out, because I can imagine for some positions, maybe, your centre backs. I use a 3-5-2, so I'm just going to talk about centre backs, meaning the three of them. I might not want them always triggering the press, but if I play a high line, I would really like my cam and my 2 strikers and my left and right mids to be triggering the press and compact the playing area, right? So in those sort of situations, I will. But then if you're, playing away at Liverpool as Southampton, you don't want to probably be triggering the press because you might get absolutely ruined for it. So I think it really you're allowed to then, park the bus, be aggressive, utilize the fact that you are the dominant team in the game or the favourite, maybe provide support for you if you're going to be the underdog. It allows those sort of, can really start to develop those sort of situations in matches now.
Yeah, and I think the most dangerous thing about pressing is if half the team does it and the other half doesn't, and you have this form. Exactly, you have this massive gap in the midfield, and they're just as a hot knife through butter. They're going through there. So
good one.
Good one. Yeah, you don't want that, right? So you need to think a bit about that. Like if you give some people press a lot and the others less, then what's the effect on the whole team? So good to consider. But yeah, I reckon, especially with a high line, you want those first player striker cams, wingers to put pressure on the defenders, force them to make errors.
Yeah, maybe you might have really pacey strikers and wingers who maybe does the trigger the press take an element of the physicality and the pace into account. We've got really high pace players. Could they close down, trigger the press quicker? You'd probably think that, wouldn't you? So maybe that might be something to consider as well.
Yes. Then the aggressiveness, also interesting.
This one's super interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with potentially suspensions being around the corner as well. Do you have a player who keeps getting booked all the time and is a complete liability? If so, less aggressive, please, pal. Or are there particular scenarios where if we do get card accumulation resulting in suspension, you might want to play someone because he's a pivotal player and you need him in your starting 11, but if you get one more yellow card, he's suspended for a game. Then you're going to be wanting to put him on less aggressive. I like these sort of extra considerations and flavors, baby, that we have to consider. But I know there's going to be a few people who'll probably be wanting to put that on less aggressive in particular scenarios because of maybe suspensions, but also because of their players as well.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that maybe you want to force a yellow card, like just get that extra yellow, make it super aggressive.
Yeah.
So he can play in a big final indeed.
The reverse of that, get him suspended for the semi. That's what happened at Real Madrid, didn't it? Was it Madrid with Mourinho, where he was like, if Ramos or someone else picked up a yellow and got sent off, they'd miss the second leg of a game, but they'd make it. They'd be fair for the final.
Yeah.
So they were like, just do it.
Yeah.
It does basically scam the system, but you've done it for your advantage.
You could do it now, indeed. Like you could have suspensions. But also maybe your strikers, if you put them on this pressing thing, you want them also to be a bit more aggressive with that press. So you combine those two for maybe your attackers, and also when an attacker has a red card, I think it's a bit less detrimental for your overall performance and the center back, of course. So it's fun to play around with, and especially in combination with suspensions, that could really be a great combo. It gives you some options.
Definitely.
And then the final thing you can choose is the clearances. So play out of defense, connected maybe a bit to this balance direct. Play out of defense, clear the ball often. Would you?
I think it also relates to passing risk as well, because if you want to, it relates to directness or the control or the directness in possession. But I think it relates to directness in possession, the clearances for out of possession, and then passing risk as well. Do you want to, like I said, my example earlier, do you want a centre-back to play through the lines, play out of defence, but do you have some of them who just like to hoof it long, if in doubt, kick the fucker out, that sort of thing, send it into row Z at the nearest possibility of danger? You can now do that. I think this might, be a tactic that I might use with some of my centre-backs. But one thing I'm thinking about when we're talking about this is, first of all, there are so many different variables here. So Calva and I are just going through a bunch of different scenarios where you could use them. Perfectly appreciate that we're not going to be able to mention everything because there's so much. But also, I want to ask you a quick question here, Calva. Do you think that we see people gatekeep tactics more now? In terms of, how often do we say, "Oh, I might play this or play this," but then actually, everyone can match you, but it's all down to the players and how they fit that formation. But now it's almost like, I found really good tactics here. I don't want anyone else knowing them because I think I've nailed these. I think we might see more gatekeeping of tactics now.
Yeah, because you have so many variables. So if you found like a kind of a unique combo that works well with your players and you really hit some great tactical spot, let's say, I think definitely you're not going to tell everyone. But you might copy that.
I think it's beginning of season 1. I was doing some testing and stuff, or I can't remember what it was now. Was it some testing or something on stream or whatever?
Well, you also told everyone your tactic, right?
Oh, I did tell that as well. But I got a 1 playoff, so I ain't no complaining, baby. And I got 2 cup finals this year, which I think I might lose to Fraj because he's got a stacked Ironside and somehow it's not in the top 6 of Iron, but well. And he brought reinforcements in for mid-season, so I won't be stuffed there. But I remember Ronan beginning of last season, I think, I can't remember what he messaged me now. He basically messaged me his tactic. I can't remember what the basis of it was, but we had the exact same setup, like throughout the whole. Oh no, because I posted mine in the Ballers DAO. I went, fuck it, I'm just going to post what my tactics were. I deleted them a couple of hours later, but Ronan messaged me and went, yeah, we have the exact same tactics. And I was like, oh, that's really, really interested to hear that someone else has the exact same tactics. And he had success sort of in season 1. Maybe we don't have the same now. But I think we might see people, I'll probably be more reluctant on the pod to say, oh, I'm playing someone who listens. I can't go around saying what all my tactics are. But
yeah, and maybe we also have a bit like some sharing between communities. So you have this the OM group, we have the ballers group, you have some other groups who are like kind of working together. Maybe within their community, they're building up a knowledge base of like tactical knowledge or like their own almost like coaching academy.
Yeah.
Almost like if you're a member of this group, like you know what works, what doesn't work. So maybe you see more of that. Yeah, that it's more protected or more gatekeeping, as you say.
Yeah.
Curious to see. Yeah. So taking all of those instructions into account, how will we use it? Will we use a lot? Like before, I said I'm Mr. Balanced, although I'm now with purely balanced, with a pretty good Iron team, I'm getting relegated. So maybe I should say goodbye to the days of being balanced. But I definitely feel with this, I'm gonna do this way more than team instructions. I'm gonna play around way more than. Is it the same for you? I think it's also less risk. It feels like less risky because you do it for 1 or 2 guys. So.
Yeah, I think what I'll be doing most likely is targeting, say, 4 or 5 positions within the starting 11 and using it for that. But then leaving the rest as a team, use the team instructions. I think that's probably the way it will most likely be used by many people. I don't want to be really going around every position and trying to change something, because the more times I change things, there's probably a greater chance I fuck it up rather than do something good. And that's probably one of my tips that I've said previously with just instructions and tactics in general. The more you try and change things, with the high chance you are just going to be buggering things up. Try it with a few different players first. But also, we want to quickly. I didn't even realize this, but you can also do team instructions for individual instructions for your goalkeeper as well. But you only get the directness in possession, and you only get clearances out of possession, because obviously you can't make them do a Edison for the first time and dribble up. Yeah, so you can force goalkeeper instructions as well, which I think is quite neat. So you can play that full directness, that full controlled, if you really want to, from front to back.
Nice, great. Really looking forward to play with this and have it as part of the main game and part of the season. But I'm definitely gonna use it a lot for fine tuning, and also just having what I said before, a bit more asymmetric, having one winger more crossing, one more dribbling, one CDM that's more creative, one CDM that's more holding. Maybe those wingbacks that the wingbacks can have a bit more freedom, or can really go down that flank.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm definitely going to play a lot of it, and also take less long shots. Like really, maybe one or two guys with great shooting can do it, but all the others cannot do it. I think that's one of the most frustrating things for me, is always having guys try to shoot
Yeah.
who are bad at both IRL and both MFL.
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to using the player instructions. I use them a little bit at the moment from some of the like those spontaneous tournaments they were doing. Did you manage to sign up to any of them?
No, I didn't, but I saw they were happening. So
I
what
did.
was it like? Did you notice anything?
I did one because I basically saw. I had to go for a meeting at work, but I saw one, quickly entered it, and then I played one of Taggard's teams and I beat him 4-3. And I need to go back and watch it because I know I set 2 or 3 individual instructions. But I think I saw that I got beaten by Matsuyama, and he's quite funny because he just messaged in a chat and was like, "Oh, I beat you, Jimbo. I didn't change anything." Like he might just join it and not change anything. But what I really like is going to give us the ability as managers to play to the strengths of our players, rather than having a blanket approach of tactics that you're hoping one or two of your strengths and good players will be able to benefit from. And now if you're really crap at this, you could try and use team instructions to make your team less crap at that and make your teams better at what they already were better than average at. And I think we might find, and I will probably be in this boat, that I have my main team, the Wyverns, which I'll be quite passive and reluctant to make lots of individual instruction changes with. But my second club, almost use it as they are, a bit of a development club at the moment, but almost maybe a bit of a development club in terms of individual instructions as well, trying to figure it out, because they're going to be sitting mid-table most seasons. They could actually get relegated this year, by the way, into the relegation playoff, but we won't talk about that. But it could be, if you are a team that, you're predicted to be middle to low table and you're not bothered about being relegated, or you're not bothered about, where you position in the league, you're just on about developing and learning more about the game and having fun. Could you use a team that you don't really care about as much and play risky team instructions to try and benefit you? Because I think that's where some of the managers, if you can, I can't think of the phrase I'm trying to think. If you can sap out more from the individual instructions, you could get great benefits of it.
You can definitely, I feel, get a lot out of it. But yeah, so the final thing about what you said is like that you can really use those players to their proper ability. For especially like CMs or CDMs, sometimes they have the weirdest combination of stats. That you have a CM of like 95 passing, but then he has like 50 defense, 70 dribbling, and I don't know, 70 shooting. And then because of that 95 passing, he's like a rare 76, 7. Yeah, so now this guy, maybe he's like the guy dominating the midfield with his passes, but he stays there and he keeps passing risky passes and through balls or whatever. While other CMs, they have much more balanced combination of overall, or maybe I have like some CDMs with like 81 shooting. I had one before.
Yeah.
So maybe this guy can sometimes take some long shots. And while before you could never use that ability. So yeah, in conclusion, it's really great to have more appreciation for those individual skills of players.
And I think one thing I've just come to mind as well, that it could, quite in some leagues, divisions, maybe looking at Diamond, for example, could shake up the standings quite a bit if managers really figure it out quite quickly for their players. Because, we have these standings or these projections that Basti does an amazing job on, with the statistics, saying how statistically this is the strongest team. But actually now, is it, we're kind of moving away from, I've got numbers the best. And we knew it's not all about overall in the first place. It's about the underlying stats that make up the overall and what the players have on their card, those 6 stats. But now that becomes even more important, because now managers can actually really get to utilise them to their maximum potential, where sometimes you wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah. No, exactly. So as a manager, you can do much better and get much more out of your squad, which is great because it just rewards people who are more serious, do more testing, and that's what we all want. That it's way more about skill and less this pay to win, or that it's just okay, just chuck some guys information and you'll do fine anyway. So it's
Hopefully,
good.
we maybe see less messages being posted in Discord about I have better overall than X, and it's like, well, actually, it could have been team instruction wise lowered the effectiveness of your starting 11 anyway, but now it could be your individual instructions were horseshit and your opponents were actually his team instructions are really good, so whereas individual instructions, therefore that's why he beat you. Ta-da.
Yes.
Hopefully
Yeah.
we see less of that. Maybe
Hopefully,
we
yeah.
see
Well,
more. Maybe we see more.
we definitely have to spread the gospel because still people are saying, "Oh, my 80 striker didn't score against a 60 goalkeeper," or the other way around. Like yeah, that's not how it works. So good that that it will get more like that, and it's harder to complain too.
Yeah.
All right, see 111. We're recording, so we have some hashtag speculation to do.
So, to prove that you've been listening this far in the episode, we've got a hashtag for you. Obviously, last week's hashtag was hashtag when breeding, a very out there, completely different, non-related to MFL, but also some of you in Discord may have seen that Trust the Process had a newborn this week. Congratulations to him and his family. So hashtag when breeding really in full flow within the community there, which is great to see. So, to prove that you've been listening this far into the episode, we discussed about how individual player instructions, risk your passing, cut through the defense, hashtag knife through butter. That phrase, a hot knife through butter, bosh, clean through, lovely through ball, splits the defense, all these cliche sayings like a hashtag knife through butter, or even hashtag hot knife through butter, really. Depends if you like a knife hot or cold. Let us know who you are. But hashtag hot knife through butter. If you're listening this far, post it on socials, Discord. Let us know all about it. Good luck to all of you in cup finals, the final match days of the season, maybe even playoffs at the weekend as well. Hope you get the MFL you want. Hope you get the position and the trophies and the results that you want as we end season 2. And we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening.